What does it take to be successful in American healthcare today? Well, we're going to find out. For the next 36 minutes, we're talking to Paul Miller from Atlanta, Georgia. Paul was very successful in the hospital business, and for the last 8 years, he's been with Impact Physician Group in Atlanta, Georgia, where they provide hospital-based physician services. Paul started when they had 3 contracts. Now they're providing services in all time zones across the continental U.S., and they're in the process of finalizing a new private equity sponsor. And I'm definitely going to ask about that as well, because that's a tricky process. I think everyone can take something from today's conversation. Let's dive in.
You are now listening to the Stark Lane podcast.
I'm not a big believer in luck. I believe typically I believe in divine intervention, God ordained moments that happen. I'm not a real luck is in the universe and that's all happened circumstance at that point. So no, I'm not a luck guy.
So you don't put your left sock on before your right after you put on your jeans every day?
No, even when I played sports, I was not highly superstitious at that point. So no, I'm not a luck guy.
I don't know. I do believe that the harder you work, the luckier you get, but I am a highly superstitious.
Okay.
I'm always looking for that windfall. And
Yeah.
I think I would rather be lucky than good, you know. I don't know. I think I'd much rather be lucky than good. I know these guys in Dallas, they former business partners. One's lucky and one's good.
Yeah.
And the guy that's lucky, he's got great private equity hair, perfect teeth, not a care in the world, just living it up. And the guy that's good, like every decision he makes in life has sort of a calculated risk component and an opportunity cost. And he looks like hell. His eyes are sunken in. He doesn't have any hair left. And I don't know. It's just,
You got to remember, work is a small component of everyone's actual life. And then certainly what's projected is a small component of what you're really going through all the time. And so I think you look at the luck and oh, I see what this guy is. It's that whole social media thing too, right? That everything
yeah.
looks great on social media, but what's the real life about? Is this the same person that at work on social media that I am in my house, that I am with my friends, that I am, in quiet time or whatever? Are you the same person with the same philosophy and approach?
Some people do that well. I think they're consistent at home and at work.
Because they're not trying to make a
Yeah.
facade of, oh, I got it all figured out, because none of us have it all figured out. I mean, we're not that way.
Do you flip a switch when you go to the office, or are you the same person in both places?
I'm the same person, and here in our office, we've had people that we have had as friends for a long time. Still have a lady that works for us that I've known for, I don't know, 15 plus years, and they attest and have said Paul's the same at the office, he is at home, that he is with his kids, and I think that's just it's consistency, and yeah, kind of what you're getting.
Do you enjoy what you do at work?
I love it. I love it.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. And I've been in different work roles in my life, and you have to find the joy in what you're doing. And if you're not enjoying what you're doing, then you should probably find something else to do. But I love it. I mean, it's like a game. It's a challenge. And I had an old mentor one time tell me that, uh, you know, in hospital leadership and executive leadership, you figure out the rules to the game, you play by the rules, and you advance and you win by the rules. Now, the government's going to come along every year, or somebody's going to come along every year. They're going to tweak the goals, tweak the goalposts just a little bit. They're going to change the rules. And our job as operators is to line ourselves up within the new rules and still be successful. And so I look at it all the time as things change every year, opportunities change, challenges change, and you still have to figure out how to win. It's like tournament basketball. I survive the day, I survive the game, I win that game, and I move on to the next one. Survive and advance, survive and advance.
Follow-up question. Do you love your job so much that if you weren't paid for it, you would still do it? If you had, let's say that we're in some dystopian utopia, like from the movies where everybody is given a job from the government, right? Would you do this job for free versus like taking out the trash or, I don't know, cleaning windows?
I think I would do a component of this job, but I think if I had the ability to do something and all bills were taken care of, everything was done, I'd find a way that I would do something more impactful to folks, right? And how am I more impactful than just, um, currently, is there an opportunity to even give back more? And I think, if that was the case, yeah, I'd probably do a little bit of it, but I'd look for an opportunity for more influence, I guess.
It's very much a calling, I think, that you're following to
Yeah,
serve people.
well, 100%. And I mean, that's the same way in our business, right? I mean, it's a calling to take care of patients. You're leading a group of people that are taking care of patients. It's a calling to take care of your partners. It's a calling to take care of your investors. And this is the season you're in. And I do believe seasons change.
Yeah.
I was a clinician for a while, and I was in the hospital world for a while, and then I was in a corporate world for a while, and seasons change depend on what you're doing.
Let's talk about those seasons. Hospitals, you've run individual hospitals, you've run markets, you've run divisions. The day in the life of the individual hospital operator, the hospital CEO versus the division level leader, what does that look like for each of those? What's similar and what's different in the hospital world?
Yeah, I think the scope of the job is different, obviously, and the impact that you have for the ultimate goal. In the hospital world, it's taking care of patients. And, there's a taking care of patients, taking care of employees, there's a recovery portion. And so in the hospital world, my goal is what's the best thing for that patient on how we're going to move them through our continuum, get them onto the next level of care. And I can do that by taking care of employees. I can take care of quality metrics and leading that and being able to make sure we have the uh, stage set for that to happen. And then, as you move up and you have different responsibilities, then you have multi-facility stuff and you're supporting the guys that are doing that mission locally. And how do I ensure that I'm supporting them to accomplish the mission that they have in the hospital? And it's just stair steps on up. When you're responsible for a lot of hospitals, then you have a team, and here's your team supporting each avenue: clinical, quality, financial. And are we doing everything we can in a referral-based business to ensure that we're providing the great care where people want to send their patients and they have great outcomes and move on to the next thing?
But do you think your background as a clinician better prepared you for that role, or was it more of a hindrance?
I think it better prepared me because two things. When I was a local guy, I understood the frustration, the firsthand frustration on taking care of patients, and did we have what we need, and were we properly equipped, and did we remove barriers to care? And so I understood the language that a clinician would talk about. Why are we doing this? And can we do it X, Y, and Z? And so I think that gave me some advantage. The first hospital I ran, I actually was a PRN respiratory therapist in at one point, and just kind of through the system took on more responsibility. And so the people that I worked with and, I worked for, I became their leader at some point. And I think that helped out because I was in some of those roles. I think it also, as you grow in it, you understand the plight and what's happened. And so, but you also you can't be so clinical that you don't know the operational, the financial responsibilities, the outcomes of those financial responsibilities that you have. And, I think that also is is a part you have to be cognizant of.
You can make really good money as a clinician in American healthcare.
Big time. Yep.
And so when you make that conscious choice to follow the vertical of operational leadership, especially at your scale, what are some of the opportunity costs that go with that?
The stress goes up, you know, incrementally. You're now you're taking care of patients and you're providing and you're getting good quality, good outcomes. That's one thing. You move to the next step. Wow, I'm responsible for that, but I'm also responsible for employees, employee satisfaction, employee engagement, making sure these employees are getting paid, and all of the core business things that come along with leading a business that supports clinicians.
I see it as more of a sort of a bringing more value to more people, right? Especially if you're talking about serving others and
Yeah.
doing your job for free. If you could serve more people, like just for the record, I would not do my job for free. Like I will clean the sewers. I will wash windows on skyscrapers, and I don't like heights. Just give me a bungee cord. Don't care. You know,
Yeah,
mine is just too stressful.
yeah. I mean, it's stressful, but what impact can I make? So that's the kicker.
Yeah, so a lot of hospital companies most grow their talent or they hire people into corporate roles that have followed that logical progression in their career, similar to yours, right? Maybe they started as a clinician or at the line level in finance or what have you in a hospital. They ran a hospital, they ran a cluster, and now they're in the corporate office. But then some don't. Some hire executives to come in, they shadow from day one to learn the business and they operate the business, which is a totally different approach. I don't know. Is there any merit to that?
Yeah, I mean, you got to think those guys that did extreme finance and heavy business background. I mean, they bring a whole angle that us former clinicians that then went to business school and tried to learn that portion. I mean, it's a totally different mindset. And in that mindset, you're hiring great clinical leaders that you're partnering with that now you're relying on and working with to ensure the clinical part's done. And so I think there's opportunity in all of it, and there's good in a heavy finance or a heavy management administration business leader, and then there's a mixed leader, and I think they both have pluses and minuses to them.
Yeah, I think there's certainly merit sort of in both approaches.
I think it comes back to that as a leader, right? What are we doing? What's the goal? Can I identify that goal and communicate it clearly and articulate it to the folks that are following us? And then can I get them moving in that direction to get that goal accomplished? And I think finance people can do it, and business people can do it, and old clinicians can do it as long as they can get that vision and rally people around it and get them moving towards that goal.
Well, speaking of getting a bunch of finance people to rally around you and help you move to a goal, last we spoke, I think you were sort of in final stages on selection of a sponsor because you were raising capital to help take your company to the next level. Did you guys finalize that piece?
We have not finalized it yet. We're still in the works of it, and it's moving along, but no, we're not finalized. It is a new thing, and
Yeah.
it's a new thing for me being in a private business now that we started, and taking on capital at that point, and what that entails, and not only what it's going to be, what it's going to be in the future, and how that looks. It's a fun time. It's been a lot of work, but it's been a fun time.
You've worked within public companies.
Mhm.
You've worked in private equity sponsored companies.
Yeah.
Now you have a privately held, privately funded organization where you're looking now for an equity sponsor to help grow to a whole new platform level. What have you taken from this experience so far?
I take a little bit of all of those experiences that I've had, right? Publicly traded companies, private equity traded companies. You understand the lingo. I think it helps you understand private equity guys have a certain look. They have what they're interested in, what's important to them. what a good partner looks like. I think my background being able to spend some time in all those places as as we weeded out private equity groups that we're working with, you you have the ability to say, hey, I think this person, based on the conversations and the interactions and the management meetings, this is going to be a good partner for us. Versus some, you're like, we don't quite click, we don't quite have the same vision. And I think the ability to weed those out, kind of find the last sponsor that you're going to live with. I mean, it's like dating, right? You're dating this person for a while, and eventually you're going to wind up married, and um, that's who you have. And so I think working in those different environments has given us some good look at how we can pick our future partner.
Yeah, it's funny. Some people would put all healthcare operations leaders in the same bucket. You're all the same. Put every executive search firm in the same bucket. Oh, you all do the same thing, whatever. Just give me the cheapest bidder. And then you have private equity firms where there is an even more significant disparity in size, scope, scale, preference, philosophy. Like having the wrong equity sponsor can
Yeah, yeah,
can just suck like next level. I mean, just absolutely suck. You
100.
read Sunday night, you start sweating, and it's your company. You sold them a portion of your company, right? But having the right equity sponsor can be also life altering. They empower you. They bring expertise, support. Even those with sort of a reputation of being kind of challenging, like KKR. Like people should listen to Patrick Solomon's podcast episode, and what his equity sponsor did to bring COVID relief to Mount Sinai in New York while he was on the plane on the way up there to do a favor for the CHRO. It's just crazy what they can do when you have the right sponsor.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And if they're aligned with what you want to do and kind of how you approach it and how you want to manage it collectively, it's a nice thing. So we're excited about the people we're working with, and when that thing finally closes, it'll be a fun ride.
If somebody's out there looking for an equity sponsor and they've never done this before, what kind of sort of selection criteria would you say is most important for a founder to consider when they're looking at equity sponsors?
Well, for us, it was just again what we talked about when we met with. I think we met with six different finalist groups and their sponsors, and who we'd be working with, really, daily, weekly, monthly. Um, and I think for us, we have a certain vision that we'd like that we started the company with, that we're currently doing. We we know where we want to go and what we want to do next. And can we get that sponsor in line, or do they have the same vision that we do? And even, I mean, they could enhance it, and they could, you know, bring ideas and let's put it together and then, do better than even the vision we have. But I think somebody that you can work with on a daily, weekly, monthly basis is everything at that point. Because I mean, you're now working with them every day. And I think that's when you're running your own shop and you're doing your own thing. And, we've been at it about 8 years. And so we like to do things a certain way, and it's really paid off well. I want somebody that's going to come and complement that, not buy it and say, hey, we're going to do it this way now, which most of them don't do that, but it is a realistic thing.
When you were talking to potential suitors and sponsors, did you encounter any of the firms that
Oh
wanted to
yeah.
drastically change things?
Yeah. I mean, well, they were so heavy on what they wanted to do and take your platform and say, hey, we want to utilize this platform, but we really want to go this way, versus, hey, we're going to take your platform. Your vision is to go this way. Can we bolt on this and this and this and make your vision this big now versus this big? And kind of partner with you on that is a big part of it. So yeah,
Yeah.
we had some folks that were interested in grabbing you, grabbing your platform, being part of it, but saying, oh, we really want to change the main focus to X. And at that point, you really not what we love to do at that point.
You're providing physician services to hospitals now in every time zone in the continental US, right?
That's correct. We're in every time zone. We are in 15 states. We have 77 different points of service. And this year we'll see about 500,000 patients.
And you built that from zero, right?
Three contracts. Yeah.
Over a period of 8 years. The right sponsor, I think, is key because I wouldn't want to blow that up. I've obviously built a
Yeah.
company or two.
Yeah. You built a company or two in your time, but we have a vision on what we think we can do further and how we can better partner with our hospital partners and the services we provide, and can we enhance that? And it's about you can grow, but can you quickly scale and grow even quicker with the right sponsor and the right backing? And that's where we're going next, for
It's
sure.
exciting. I would say this is a win. It's a success to this point, and being in final stages with the sponsor that you selected, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we selected them, they selected us. It's one of those that's um I'm excited about it. It's going to be a good outcome for us.
So let's talk about some of the failures because that's always the really interesting part.
Well, there's so many failures. There's so many things that you're like, oof, I wish I wouldn't have done that.
But
Um,
isn't that a part of succeeding though? I mean, you have to fail and fail quickly to find out what you're doing and to learn and to grow. And just especially if you're running your own show and you're not following a template, right?
Yeah, our thing was it's trial and error, and I don't know if I can give specifics. People won't care about specifics on that because if I said, "Hey, I tried to go into a new state, there were these certain regulations. We went in it like we did the last state, and boom, it didn't work." And then there's details of it that people are like, "Who cares?" But I
Yeah.
think there is a portion of the trial and error. Sometimes you're going to be successful at, and sometimes you're like, ah, crap, that didn't work. Let's reload and try it and get to the get to what we need to do. Because remember, it's about winning the day, right? It's about figuring out how we're going to win, survive the day, win the game, move on to the next day.
But arguably, to get to where you are, you've stood toe to toe in a lot of battles and you fought and you've won and then you fought and you've lost and you have to be resilient as hell. You got to get back up and do it again.
100%, 100%. Yep,
Yeah,
100%. But I think it is about being focused on what do we want to accomplish? What is our intent? That's how we started this company. We started it because my partners and I, we were in the post-acute world. We were on the provider side, or on the service, on the hospital side. And we're cognizant of here's a gap, here's a hole. Boy, if I could fill that hole and provide that customer service to where I, as a hospital leader, or I, as the executive leader in a company, don't have to worry about that portion, that physician services component. I can make a call and we can take care of all these things, and I don't ever have to worry about it. I can worry about patient care and quality metrics and this and that. I don't have to worry about physician services. That's a big hole we filled in.
And I think getting to where you are, you have to have the stomach for it, right? So
Mhm.
beyond resilience, if someone's going to follow your career path and get to where you are today as a successful hospital executive, physician services executive, and then corporate owner of a company providing services in 15 states, you know, what does someone have to do? What do they have to possess to get to where you are?
It's that cliche that you hear all the time, right? There's going to be a million no's. There's a million no's, and you just have to keep going. And that's true. I mean, there's a lot of people that I worked with over the years, or that I knew, and people that I don't know that you say, "Hey, let me introduce you to what we're doing and see if it'll work." And like, no, no, we're not interested. No, we're not interested. Some of them come around later, which is quite rewarding. They eventually come around and they're like, and then they experience it and they're like, "Gosh, I wish I would have done this earlier." It's been fantastic. And then some of them are still no's. I mean, maybe we'll get back to them at some point.
Working with people and providing services to the masses, you've got to have a cast iron stomach
You
and
do.
determination, and you can't have feelings on your sleeves. You can't
No, it's
you
not
can't
easy.
you can't be soft.
No, no, it doesn't work out well for you.
And I don't think you can necessarily hate everybody who hates on you.
No, you've got to let that go. I mean, people that you've crossed paths with before and didn't end as you would like it, and there's some animosity or whatever. That's done. That's gone. You can't hold on to that. You can't spend the emotional energy worrying about that when you've got other stuff to do.
I think at one point we could give a brilliant idea to 100 people, and one person would take the idea, put it into action, and reap all the rewards.
Mm,
Today, I think it's far fewer than that. I think it's way less than 1%.
yeah.
But there are the people with the stomach for that, right?
Yeah.
They're
I
out
mean,
there.
it's the risk, right? It's the whole how how much risk aversion do I have? How much risk do I want to take? I mean, I remember leaving the hospital world and like, should I go back to the hospital world where I know what's expected, I know what's happening, I know a steady paycheck, I know, you know, I can make an impact and that's good, and you can be in the hospital world. Or my wife nudged me to do this actually because I'm debating which direction I'm going to go, and said, well, you've always wanted to do this. You've always talked about it. You have friends that want to do it, and you guys know the holes. Just do it. Take the chance. And so it's you either can stomach taking the chance, and believe me, the first bit is hairy while you're figuring things out and how you're getting paid and how you're billing and just all the technical components of it. You got to have a little bit of a stomach to be able to get through it because it's not you start your own thing and boom, it's handed to you. You work, you work.
But so you're 8 years in. How long were you into it before it became easy and second nature?
Um, it's, I don't know, a year or two at some point, it was like, okay, we pretty much got our foot down and we know we got a pretty good idea what we're doing. And we still make the mistakes and we're still like, ooh, crap, that didn't work, or ooh, that's not going to work there. And you're learning things all the time. The geography of the U.S. We we put in models that we want to look the same in South Carolina and Washington and Montana and Texas, all different regions, same care model, but there are intricacies that you have to work out that healthcare is a local thing still, and what's acceptable in Washington is different than in South Carolina and Texas. And you put all that together and say, all right, how can I put my care model that is efficient and in place and still take uh, the local exceptions in play.
How much do the socioeconomic factors of those local cultures in those particular states and metropolitan areas, how much do those influence how you operate versus the regulations of that state?
Well, I think you'd look at all of it, right? I
Yeah.
mean, all of it, there's a demand. I mean, we provide physician services, so it's physicians, nurse practitioners, and PAs that we recruit, um, contractors and employees, and depending on where you're doing it, nowhere, in the middle of nowhere, there's not a whole lot of people, and sometimes it's a challenge, right? The recruitment's always a challenge, and I think some of those economics and some of those local things are in play, and you have to figure out how I'm going to get to that goal based on what's happening. So it's something you look at every day. You get a new customer or a new contract for something. You're like, okay, let's get after it. We got to figure out how we're going to fill it up and staff it and get going.
A lot of people think that the entire world is just built out and healthcare is built out and opportunity is dead, because everybody's already doing what I wanted to do.
Sure.
But I think the reality is it's just always evolving. I mean, I think there are half a dozen hospital companies born out of Steward's massive, colossal, public, miserable failure.
Yeah.
There are new physician services companies born every day, maybe with a little bit of a tweak on, tradition. So, for someone who wants to do their own thing, whether it be hospitals or physician services, urgent care, clinical support services, whatever the case may be, what advice would you give them?
I'd say, for us, it was just you got to go for it. And what you start with is probably not what you're going to end up with. I mean, yes, that service is going to be, or that goal of what you wanted to go into business for is certainly a focus. But like for us, we went in, we're providing internal medicine. We've got a certain scope that we're looking at. And as we look at different service lines and different opportunities, and new customers say, "Hey, can you do X, Y, and Z?" And we're like, yeah, we can do that. We can figure out how to do that. And being able to adapt on the fly. We started just before COVID. We got a couple of locations, we're providing service and everything's going great. Boom, COVID hits. And now, oh crap, we can't go to the buildings or this and that. Can you guys do telemedicine? Like, yeah, we've been working on something on the side. Let us turn it on and start. And so we own our own telemedicine platform. It's part of our service. We drop it in places. And it's just one of those things where it wasn't an original scope. It wasn't an original, hey, let's go for it. But it was one of those, yeah, we can do that. We can meet that need. And sometimes meeting that need works, and sometimes meeting that need is like, yeah, this isn't working for us. It's not good. So you have to be nimble enough to be able to identify the good stuff, weed out the bad stuff, and then still support the vision of what you want to do.
So what I'm hearing is maybe to wait for a perfect plan is to wait forever.
It ain't gonna happen. Not gonna happen. So, I mean, if I wait for a perfect plan and it's all set out in front of you, it doesn't happen that way. It did not for us. It did not for us.
Yeah, and I don't know anybody else who has executed a perfect plan
Yeah,
flawlessly,
yeah.
A to
No,
B, rung the bell, exited.
you got to be nimble. That's for sure.
What's harder to manage for you, success or failure?
Um, Harder to manage. I think, you look at both of them and failure comes along. You're like, oh crap, I wish that wouldn't have failed. And, then you're back to that whole, all right, I gotta look at this failure. Now it's gonna make me work harder and again. And I still want to get to that result, but I can't go this way. So I got to figure out another way around it to do it.
Well, at least you're
Uh,
working toward the same goal, right?
yeah,
So you
I mean,
you know what you're trying to accomplish. It's like, okay, I didn't do it that time. I'm going to do it this time, just going to figure it out. So at
yeah.
least that's easier than, in my mind, than success. When you hit the ball out of the park, whether intentionally or accidentally, it's like, where do you go next?
Well, I think that, I mean, at least we always have kind of what do we want to do next? I mean, we start something, it's working well, we kind of got going down this road. What can I add on to complement and or bolt on to what I'm doing to go next? And so, I mean, that's the fun part. You got something that's
Yeah.
working, it's going well, and you're like, how can I add on to what I already have that's going to make it kind of the next step? So I think that's the fun part. The failure portion is obviously not near as fun, but makes you work a little harder.
Yeah. I don't know. I personally, I don't know. I find success much more difficult to manage.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's way harder for me personally.
Yeah. I mean, once you're doing it and something's working, you're like, all right, what's next? Let's look around and see what we're gonna add on next.
And what can I totally mess up now?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. What can I screw up and then fix, and then it works out, to that.
Yeah.
And there's some things that, I mean, being honest, there's some things that you screw up, and it's like, well, that didn't work. I'm not dealing with that. We'll do something else altogether.
Well, speaking of success or failure, I need to go find some more things that I can screw up, and you probably need to get back to work. So we should probably get to it.
Absolutely. Let's get to work.
This has been the Stark Lane podcast. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, and wherever you find the programs to elevate your career and your passions. Now, get back to work.